Okay, so here's the first project. All right, so I think these jars could have some kind of medical, or you know, related or some type of wording on it. Okay, they're just too flat right now. Um, I think I mentioned this before, but so it's almost impossible to have rust at the same time with specular. So you either give up the rust or you give up the specular. Okay, the specular is a reflection of the light. Okay, because usually when something is rusty, that means the shiny part of it has already long gone. Right, the coating, the shiny coating is gone. So this kind of looks weird. Uh, I think it's really almost impossible to find anything that's shining like this and has rust on it. Okay, that's when I think the bump map on this is a little too strong. It's just lowered a little bit, and again, you still have some glossiness here, the paint. So you might want to look at maybe the glossiness is here, but use that same texture and then convert it in Photoshop to make it a black and white, so that here is not shining or catching the glossiness, but here it is. Okay, so where the paint, it can still catch it, but where it has chipped, you no longer get that shiny coat. Okay, so you can use that. So you can use this texture and convert it. I think some PBRs have that already. It's just a matter of plugging it in. So this shouldn't be shiny. Okay. Um, I th I don't know what this is. Is this intentional or is this like by design? Uh, it just looks because over here you don't have it, and so that kind of caught my eyes. Like, so if we take that off, it's because it's kind of a little confusing here. What's this right here? This area. Okay, okay. These X-ray, you know, are they supported by a frame or is it hanging in the air because it's over the faucet here? Okay, so let me 1-2 this here. See, so not sure if it's floating or what's going on here. Why is it over the faucet there? Okay. Okay. This is looking a lot better than the last versions. I think here I'm not sure what's going on with that pink and blue stripe. It's above the rim. It's a little bit off right there. Okay. And these 4 big knobs, maybe put like what they are on, off, or some type of thing that indicate what it's doing, or make it smaller even. Uh, I don't know if these big knobs are uh, generally you'd have like a big knob for something very important, but 4 big knobs, it's just I don't see that often. I see in machinery where if it's like an emergency thing or a setting that you use a lot, then there's one big one and then there's like little ones, right? Uh, but 4 big ones like that, that kind of makes it look like a toy again. Okay, maybe some textures here, because it's like this flat plane. But I think overall, that's it. Looking good. Okay. All right. Next. Okay. Okay. For this one, I think the texturing in the polygon here might be too low poly, so you're getting this like cut here. So you might want to subdivide that and retexture map that. Okay. So that's what's making these dragons look, you know, so I'm not sure, you're low poly by design, but it's just looking. I would add in more subdivisions here to, to smooth out the angle here. Okay. That's what, the same thing applies to here. If this is supposed to be lava or some kind of natural formation, I think your polygons are a little too low for this. Same thing here, and then this looks like an extrusion where the mapping went wrong. So you might need to remap that. Okay, so I think for this whole scene, the biggest problem is low polygon without the mapping. So I know this is the geometry part. So and then the mapping will come later, but it's important to get the right level of detail here. See, so this can at least benefit from 3 or 4 more segments here to make it a smooth wing. Okay. And then for the dragon face here, you might need to do a little, subdivision here to bring up the brow, and then another subdivision here or two to make the nozzle up and down, so we get this shape here. See, a couple subdivisions here, like a stronger jaw. Okay, so I know that when you first start off modeling organic creatures, it could be a little bit tough, but and it's tough balancing out how much subdivisions you need versus the final geometry. But yeah, I would cut a couple more, and just add 1 or 2 more segments and see what it looks like. See if you get that nice curve that you want or that you need. Okay, because otherwise it's just looking very blocky here. So cut in 2. Okay. All right. Oh, and I'm not sure what this is here. Did you put this in a box? If so, I'm not. That kind of looks weird here. That little gap there. Okay, next. Okay, this is looking pretty good. I would say though, for this, there's too much black going on here. So maybe put a small light from here to shine up so we can see some type a little bit here. You never want it pure black here, right? So you always want some detail, especially if you want to go into like a Photoshop or Nuke to touch it up. You have that freedom. If it's pure black, then it's useless when you go into a touch-up program like Photoshop and Nuke. It won't do anything. But if you have like a little bit of color information there, then you can adjust accordingly. And then I think everything as far as models and concept is pretty good. But these mountains here, I wonder if you can probably add in another level of detail or model somehow, where because some parts look kind of low poly model with one subdivision. So maybe if there's just a couple more to break up this simple mound thing, right? So it's these little things right here that makes it look like an obvious CG, right? But I think if you break up a couple more or somehow added some more detail, it might look good. Like you can get away with something like around here. It's starting to look okay. And of course you'll need some of these here, like, right? So you need a couple of these, but mixed in with a couple of small details here and there. So a good balance will make it look good. Right now, overall, it's just too smooth right here down this whole road here. See? Okay. So yeah, just a couple of bumpy, and then mixed in with some of these smooth reds. You can download or you can look at existing mountain tops and stuff like that and see what it looks like, or rock formations, and you can get an idea of how nature works in that type of pattern. Okay, if this is water, I think always adding that volume, here, so we can see some of the cement coming down and it slowly fades off here. Always gives the water some depth. Otherwise, it's just looking, like ice or some type of solid with a shiny surface. So if you have some type of subsurface going on there, the volumetrics, then that would always make it look good, like disappearing down here somehow. Okay. All right. But yeah, that's it for that one. So let's see this one. Okay. So I think this is the low poly idea concept world for video games, I think. Okay, here. So if you have these repeating things, maybe rotate some of these trees, because I can see the Y here. Oops. See this Y here and this Y here, and it repeats here, right? So sometimes just by rotating it, you can get different variations. Okay, so you have the same thing here. See that Y here, right? So yeah, rotate that to get some varying ones because they're all pointing that way. See? So somehow vary that up, okay? Here too. Um, these clouds, they're they're gray clouds, but it looks kind of weird because it's kind of like below some surfaces. So I would try to move some of these clouds, maybe especially this one and this one and these three right here, to appear somewhere, right? So it's more like you get the feeling that they're above more than randomly scattered because if they're all over here, then it's more of a feeling of like pollution than clouds, right? So if the majority of these clouds are above, then it would cause a be better. For this castle here, I think proportionally it's too small compared to a tree. So if you have like this one tree here, compared to this castle, that's a pretty tiny castle. So you might need a maybe I don't know, make this castle bigger, right, to make it proportion. Whenever you have things that are off scale like this, your world is less believable. So having everything in scale makes your whole world more believable. Okay. Um, okay. For that, for now, I think as far as the geometry is concerned, we need to address those things first. Okay. 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 For this one, um, I think the water specular has a like a vertical streak here. Uh, I think it's better served if you just have like like natural water specular happens in little chunks like this, not stretched out across here. Okay, so you might want to check why that's happening. Um, I think we should dole out the specular in this. Maybe you're going for the wet rock look. I'm not sure, but if you do that, it might take away from the water effect. So maybe blur this out just a little bit. Okay, and then here too, it might be a little bit too much all over the place. But if you want, and then that's the look that you insist on, then that's okay. I also think that you need some kind of light here to light this grass just a little bit, like in the previous project. Your backlight here is just too dark. See here, this backlight here is okay. This is probably you're getting this backlight because of the volume. But if you're not getting that from the volume here because it's closer to you, then you might put a backlight, like just a smaller light and shine it here just to get enough lighting in here, enough information. Okay, so it's a little bit dark coming from this side. As far as the modeling is concerned, I think there's something low poly-ish about this hand. Like everything here is okay, but when you get to here, you might want to maybe do a subdivision here just to make it a little bit curved, just a little bit, here. Okay, and maybe I know that we may not be well versed in anatomy, but having some type of curve here might help. And again here, okay. When you learn how to draw an anatomy, you know that there's muscle groups. So we want to maybe see some defined muscles. So it's just a matter of pushing and pulling in vertices here instead of this just straight line. So you might need to go like this, and then like this, right? And then just visualize that there's muscles there. See, and then there's the deltoid back there. Same here. Just it doesn't have to be much. It's just sometimes a matter of just pushing in this vertex down here, and then pushing this vertex up here, things like that. Okay, instead of a straight line. Okay, straight line, straight line. All right. Other than that, looks pretty oh, maybe this right here, these strings, it's one of those things where it's too thin. I would make it a little bit thicker, just to see it. It's kind of it kind of puts you on nerve when you see something barely thin and barely visible. So I would make it just a little bit thicker so it registers, and especially if you do the denoise, it doesn't disappear or or become dotted lines like this. Okay, so either get rid of it or just make it slightly thicker so it registers better. Okay, so far so good. Oh, again, this low poly stuff here. This hand should be out like that. See. All right. All right. I'm sorry, when I see bad anatomy, not bad anatomy, but untrained anatomy, I like to mess around. Okay, anyway. Next. Okay. All right. So I think this is looking pretty good. My gripe with this still is I think the blue is still oversaturating and it's overwhelming. So I'd like to see some neutral, lighter areas. Let's see, like right here, make it a little bit lighter and more neutral. Because if you blanket the whole thing blue, it's just kind of drowns out everything, right? Nothing is highlighted. So maybe this area might be a little bit lighter, and here, maybe this area because of the light. Okay. The soup cans, proportion-wise, I don't recall Campbell's soup cans being this big, like half a trash can. I know there's two sizes, but the general Campbell soup that I think most people are used to visually seeing is about that small, right? But you might need to check that. Okay. Maybe textures on this dinosaur to match everything else. I'm not sure if you want to leave that clean like with all these here. But everything else looks kind of grungy, but that's kind of clean. Maybe anatomy here. This might be too long, so maybe. And then here we have a crease in here. So if you've already flattened the geometry here, you might need to push this out just a little bit. This is too much here. Okay, and then make this a little bit rounder, out more, and a little bit out here. Okay, as far as anatomy, there's a weird bulge here in this neck. Maybe you might flatten that out a little bit. Okay, and maybe here too. So sometimes when you add in bones and the rigging is not correct, you get these bulges where you don't want. Same here. Look at this guy's going. I can't believe the knee looks like this. Okay. But anyway, the same pinching is happening here. So the muscle deformation here, you might need to, look at that. The crease shouldn't go all the way up there, just maybe up to here only. Okay. Okay. I think there's a weird crease here too for the body. Okay. All right. This mug, I think it's a little bit tiny. Okay. I think these things are like usually round squares, right? So I wonder why the volume is not registering in this lava lamp. Might need to look at that. Oh, and the grain on this looks a little bit strong here. So maybe lessen the grain there. And then maybe the grain on here, I think I would raise the grain on here a little bit and then lessen it here. So it's too strong here for the wood grain here, and it's too weak here. So balance that out, okay? Maybe add some messages here. Okay. But overall, I think it's okay, looking good. Ooh. All right. What else? What else? Yeah, okay, so this wall texture here too, this looks like more like metal. I'm not sure if you want this, your concepts in a metal tin room, rather than like corroded paint, right? So, maybe, if that's the look that you want, then fine. But if you want like more like a corroded paint, I might look into that. And I think also the AO, the ambient occlusion might benefit from this corner right here. Okay, so things like that. Okay, the AO might enhance that. Okay, I think that's it. oh, this pizza box looks a little too clean here. So maybe wrinkle it up or dirty it up or something. Uh, Here too. A bit too clean compared to the whole room. Same here, pizza. Okay. Okay. Next. Okay. How much more? All right. Okay. So what sticks out to me most is these stairs here compared to this train. I think there's something not right about the proportion. I think this might be too high versus this. I mean, so there's the rise and then the slope or something like that. I can't remember how they define it in architecture, but I think for you, you have it the opposite. So it has to be out more and then, you know, like this, okay, instead of like this. I don't know who can walk like that. Okay, so you know that might be the first thing. This might have to be a little bit higher here, or some kind of railing going down here, right? Because this is too low. Can you imagine how many kids would fall off here? Right? Maybe some kind of railing here because you don't want people jumping off easily to suicide. You know, some kind of protective railing here. So these little things make it more believable, your scene. Okay. Let's see. I'm not sure about the glossiness on this paint. When you make it too glossy, it starts to look like a toy more than, you know, something real. The coal here looks kind of. You might need to look at this. I think that's coal. And why is it shining, or why is it see-through, or what is this? So Union Pacific here. So I think that's the same on the other side. So why are we seeing through it? So you might. Is this a piece of glass and it's empty inside, or it just looks kind of weird there. All right. This right here is too low poly or simple. I'm not sure what you want to do with this. So these catch my eyes too as unfinished. See this block right here? So, you know, if it's truly a pole like this, you might need a chamfer it, right? These edges, so these sharp edges always gives it away as it's 3D. So you might want to sharpen or chamfer the edges here. Okay. All right. Or bevel, I think is what Blender calls it. Okay. You might need to add some ambient occlusion pass here, what we talked in the last couple of classes. Refer to the video. Okay. I'm not sure why. What are these lights, or are they advertising thing, or just blocks of light? So, and these railing, why are they? They have like some kind of emission material. So you might need to look at that. Like, why are these rails having emissive material? Like it's shining bright light. So I'm not sure if that's a mistake or not, but that looks kind of weird. Okay. Maybe extend this out here just to, you know, leave it up to the viewer's imagination that it goes on instead of this right here. That kind of like destroys all hope of, you know, this train going anywhere. So, you know, when you leave that there, it might make people imagine, you know, this rail back here. You know, so maybe extend that there. Okay. I'm not sure if this helps. This is very distracting and it's taking a big part of your animation. So either this has to be more defined or easily understood. Otherwise, I'm not sure if it's helping, you know, or make it smaller if you must have it, you know. But it's too big and too distracting and it's messing up your composition. Okay. All right, next. Okay, looking good so far. So the first thing I'm noticing here is the stretched material that's still happening here. It's still a little bit stretched, so you might need to look at that and see, you know, why it's happening. Everything else looks like it's been improved. This grass pattern here, I'm not sure why we're having these strange patterns here. So, you know, you might need to look into that. I'm not sure if in real life you have these repeating hole patterns. It might be that you don't have enough grass in here, or not enough, variation. I mean, overall the grass looks good. Don't get me wrong. It's just that these, these repeating black squares here just makes it look obvious, like CG, right? So we need to figure that out, why that's happening. Okay, and get rid of it. Okay, I would say the backlighting on here is okay, but a little bit more backlighting here would be good. So add in a slight light here so we can see a little bit more instead of pure silhouettes here. Okay, I think the sky and everything looks good. The rock texture, this one is, the scale here is small and it looks maybe okay, maybe a little bit strong on the bump here. But then you compare it to this, and this is, these are too big, right? So we might need to normalize it, or average it out. So this is super small, not super small, but small, and then this is probably average, and then these are big. So you might need to bring it into where they all feel the same scale. Otherwise, it just feels a little bit imbalanced. Especially like when my eyes see this, it's like really big, like the scale of the textures. Okay, same here. All right, the clouds looking okay. Maybe though, I'm not sure if this is an image or not that you're compositing over, but sometimes the sky looks good if you add in like a gradient, right? Like below is kind of like reddish orange, and then up here is bluish. So you overlay that on top, so it looks like a nice gradient of a sunset or something. Not sunset, but all skies have that type of gradient going on. If you look at the sky, it's always a deeper blue up here, and then a more reddish or something down here, or a different color. It doesn't have to be red or orange, but some type of contrasting color would help with the sky instead of just this pure blue here. Okay. And this mountain here, maybe add in more polygons or segments here. Okay. Right now it's right here it's giving it away that it's low poly. Okay, so I would add in a bit more segments here and here. Okay, next, I think we're almost halfway. Okay, so far so good on this one. I think this black here is so I'm not sure what's happening here. It could be in an over probably either in over bump effect. Bump is too strong, or displacement. I'm not sure which one's happening here, but yeah, these little black cracks here, there's this that doesn't happen in real life. I'm not sure this low poly again here. Maybe add more segments and make it round. I'm not sure if this is your intention to make it low poly like this, and if that's what you like, but because everything else looks like a nice round geometry here, right? It's nice and smooth, lifelike here, and then you have this low poly object here, which kind of makes everything not work, right? Okay, so yeah, I would probably up-res that. Here, the materials on this seems, I think, a bit stretched out or too big or something. It just seems not into scale with the rest of the scene. Like here's okay. We might have some repeating issues, like here, right? So that might be a problem. Maybe if you scale this up a bit so it's bigger and it's less noticeable, and scale this down here, these scale it down, then it might work, right? So make this bigger and then this is smaller, and so they will meet somewhere halfway. You have the same issue here with the low poly here, but this might just be an auto smooth thing. So turn the smooth on and see if that fixes this low poly area here. Okay. I think these stairs, having it pure white, maybe add in a bit gray, just a little bit, so you don't get this washed out here. Again, if you have this washed out and later on if you want to adjust in Photoshop or Nuke, it's kind of hard when you have pure white or pure black. You can't really do much with that. Okay. or that might be a piano. I think is what I think you're doing. Uh, well, okay, I'm pretty sure it is because I see the music theme here. But and I understand that piano keys are pure white, but maybe ivory. Okay, all right. And then the pure black issue too also. Okay. All right, I think that's pretty much for this one. Oh, and maybe the volumetric water here would look good along this here. I'm not sure if you're doing that. It kind of looks like it, but I'm not sure. Maybe a little bit more will make it look nice. I'm a I'm a big fan of that volumetric water thing. And if you don't know how to do that, remember me next class I can show you guys again how to do it. I think we did it in class before. Okay. All right. Oh, I think there's this repeating here too, so we might need to look at that. So anytime you have those repeating textures, it kind of like draws attention to your eyes. Okay. All right. Okay. One more thing I just noticed. These bricks, I think you should make the scale a bit bigger. The brick seems too small here. Almost didn't notice, so yeah, just a little bit bigger. Okay, next. Okay, I think we need more something in here, like you know, a couple items here, maybe down in here to make it look more like a living space. Maybe floor wall molding here, along here to here, and give it more details. I understand your minimalist approach, but it's got to be within a reasonable like living area, right? Like most people, if they have a shelf, they would have like some kind of player or karaoke machine or something here, right? So you know it should be populated with a few things, maybe a rug mat, floor, coffee table, or something here. So yeah, more items like a lamp here, because where's the light coming from? Things like that. Picture frame. So yeah, I would invest more time into trying to figure out what more things you need to add into here. Excuse me. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Is anything else? This dimple here looks kind of strange. I don't know. Is that supposed to be a cup holder, and then like you added a like a smooth, and that happened or not? But you might want to look into that. What is that? What's going on? Okay. Wood textures. I think it's a little too wide here. I think it should be thinner and longer, right? Like the wood planks are usually thinner and longer, not this wide. I could be wrong. I haven't seen any wood planks that thick. So you're tiling. Okay. And I noticed that this is an orthographic render. Okay. So I'm not sure if that's what you want, or that's that's what you're getting accidentally. Okay. All right. So I wasn't sure, because this seems to be your render, but your viewport here seems to look better. So we'll talk off. I guess I'll just try to flip back and forth here. Okay, so here, the highlight looks interesting. Here in your render, you lose some of that. So I'm not sure if this is Eevee or Psychos. I'm not sure. Can we tell here? Maybe not. But so yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. And the lighting here kind of looks bad. Oops. Okay, I need a. All right, let me do this here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. So actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah, the lighting on here. Why is it not working? The lighting on here is a bit dark compared to here, so you need some type of lighting shooting on there. As far as low poly, I think you have a lot of issues here with this low poly. You might need to look at this here. Look, that that kind of messes up everything here. So you need to invest a lot of time on fixing these rocks here, how to make it look right, because it's like really messing up your mood, with everything. As far as repeating textures is concerned, so we're gonna look at this here now. Uh, you have your repeat textures here. So I'm wondering, maybe you should get, put a bigger texture on overall here, and then, treat that texture versus these repeating here. So, especially here, it's starting to look, just bad, right? Repeat, 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 like here, like so. So look at your textures and see what you can do to avoid this repeat. Okay. This effect looks pretty good. So I'm not sure what happened here. So you might need to reconsider your render engine. Okay. Or maybe is this the render? No, no. Okay. So this is the MATLAB. So it might be your lighting. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, so let's see. Alright, so yeah, I'll move on to the next one. I think that's pretty much, you got your hands full with what I just mentioned here. Okay. Okay. So the first thing I notice here is the rocks out here looks a bit harsh. So sometimes I think when we're doing rocks, we tend to make the bump map a little too strong. So you'll see that here and here. So we got to look at the bump map and tone it down just a bit. Rocks don't have that strong bump. And the way you can tell is when you start to get like really black areas in your bumping, then you know that you overdid it, right? It shouldn't be that dark and black. Okay, right there. So that's the first biggest thing I noticed. So the next thing here is this texture here. So this is the white marble, right? And then this is the black one. But it seems like the scale on these are maybe a bit too small, I think, per tile. Maybe make it a little bit bigger, because when it's like this small, and then this one's a little bit stretched, but when it's this small, it makes the scale of everything else seems a bit how should I say it? So if this is like small, then everything here makes it look bigger, right? So I think if you were to, like, say, get this area here and then scale it up here, right? Then it would probably look like more like a normal floor instead of, now this makes it look like a whole wall. I think if you get what I'm mean, instead of a tile on the floor. If you look at a tile on the floor, it doesn't have that many details as here, right? So you might need to look at the scale here, for that to get the sense of the wall, a floor. Okay, and then the next one, I think these reflections are good, but it might be too strong and overwhelming. So you have a lot of reflections competing for each other, right? You got the reflections here, here, you got the reflections on these guys, and then you got the reflections here, right? So when you have all these things competing for your eye, nothing stands out really. So I would probably, if you want to focus on these guys right here, maybe keep these reflections strong, and then lower it on this, and then these right here. Maybe you can keep this because it's like kind of like in the same line of eyesight here. right? But yeah, you might want to lower, and also the cage too. So uh, lower the reflections or specular or the glossiness of all of these, and just keep these is good. But you can't. I mean, not that you can't, but uh, when you start to make everything compete against each other, it just starts to look really busy, right? So those are the main things that caught my eye or my attention here. And then if you have time, you might want to look into why we get these segments here. I'm not sure what that is. Is it low poly modeling, or did you auto smooth it yet, or so check out that. Um, okay, but so far looking pretty good. All right. Okay. Next, we got a couple more to go. Okay. Um, I'm not sure. Uh, uh, you know how much further work you got along with this, but I couldn't make out what's going on. But one thing to comment on is the amount of so the rubble detail on this is okay. Like this is good, okay, you can get away with it. But then when you start to get to here, you might need some more work and make it more believable. Like this looks too these segments here looks too big. So you might need to have some more detail in here. This is getting there, like the amount of detail that you want for this breakage, right? So this might be okay for now, but this area here and this area here, you might need some more work on the details. And later on the mapping here, so you have this like really weird mapping going on here, so you might need a later on focus on the mapping on here next. Okay. And then this this tiling here, maybe you might need a displacement to make this pop up, and then this go down so it looks more real, more depth. Okay. Again, I think something was wrong when you extruded the face or something. The tiling wasn't tiled properly, so I think you need to review the tiling techniques or the UV map being techniques. Okay, I think I covered that in week 2 or 3. I can't remember, but review back on the other videos in the class to see how you can fix all those. Okay, so yeah, the level of detail issue is one, and then the mapping is another one. Okay, and then later on we can focus on light, how to make it more dramatic, and then add in more details. Okay, I don't know, like a light post here, whatever, like sidewalk here, things like that. Okay, so take care of those big things first, and we can talk about details later. Okay. All right. The modeling looks okay. It's good. You might need, I think the smoothing here. So you might need to turn on the smoothing again here. All right. So I'm not sure if you know that or not, but we covered that in class. I think it's you right click on it and there's a smooth. Okay. For that. This tree here, this kind of it just feels like there's missing leaves here and here, right? I don't know. So you maybe make it a little bit more full here. It just seems, I don't know what library you got this from or where. It feels like it's just missing here and there randomly, and maybe a good trick is you can probably duplicate this tree and rotate it a little bit and make it fuller, and hide the trunk or something. And sometimes you get more definition, more leaves and branches that way, right there. Otherwise, it just looks really fake there. This stone texture here, there's this. I'm not sure this line here is that like, why is there a line there? Did the builders like build this in half and ship it and then put it together like this, or not? So I'm not sure what's going on there. I would make these stones textured separately, so it looks like it was stacked on there maybe, instead of cut out like this, and then chamfer these edges, chamfer there. The scale on this might be a bit too big too, so maybe instead of a stone being this big, I think if it was slightly smaller, it would make the castle look bigger. Okay, so when the stones are too big, it makes the castle seem small. also I would position the camera angle. Imagine a third person standing somewhere over here and looking up behind these guys. That way the monster looks more intimidating, right? So right now, I think the view here is you're a monster, or your height is even bigger than the monster. So it doesn't look as scary, right? So, but if you're the third dude here looking at this, it would be more terrifying when you look up and the monster is bigger than you, right? So perspective on that helps. Okay, I'm not sure why it gets cut off here. Like, is this like a piece of floating in space, right? So maybe, maybe extend the horizon with a little, something straight like this, right? So it matches instead of like that, and then back down like that. Okay, and if that's the case, also maybe the gradient thing I mentioned earlier in the other project, you know, yellow, reddish, orange down here, and then blue or purple, darker up here, right? So you get that gradient. Okay. And then this low poly thing right here, I'm not sure what that is, so you might need to look at that and figure out what that is, or get rid of it. Okay. Okay, is that a door? All right. Maybe a doorknob or I don't know, something here. It looks incomplete here. Maybe a peephole or something. Okay. All right. Okay. So for this one, I'm not sure. It's hard to comment on this since this is a look and feel that I'm not familiar with, or what you're going for eventually. But if this is like a painterly effect, I think this whole emptiness here, maybe just a peep of something here, like faint something, would be good. I'm not sure what you could do. A mountain, maybe a couple of trees, but very faintly to give it more depth right now. Okay. And then these edges here, that might be a samples issue. I think you're doing this in Eevee, I think. So you might need to look at that. That's kind of ruining the effect, right? You're probably using an opacity map on the leaves, right? So look at that and figure out why you're having these black edges. Yeah, so it's hard to feedback on something that's, are you pursuing a certain style, right, or not? Because this looks kind of embossed more than an effect, so I'm not sure why that is versus this type of tree. So it kind of looks inconsistent, at least as a start. So why are these looking a certain dreamy like way, and then here it looks like a Photoshop embossed effect. So you might need to look at that and try to make it consistent. The edges here, again, dark black, dark black, dark black. Look at that. I think this area here, it seems stretched out here, so you might need to make it nice and round. So this proportion is good. This seems to be stretched out. Okay. All right. I like the volume metrics coming out in here. It looks pretty good. Okay. All right. Next and the last one. Okay. Okay. So the first thing I notice here is the texture is being stretched out here, so that that probably looks like an extrude issue, right here. Okay, so we might need to look into that, fix it. It can use some ambient occlusion that we covered in class to to make that have more depth, right? Because right now we can barely see what's going on there. These floor tiles, if this is a normal human in a car size, the car might be a little bit small compared to the human, and I think the floor texture is too big, I think. And maybe it's repeating here too, so we might need to go into Photoshop, make this like 4 times, but then like erase one of these so that it doesn't repeat itself. So this big square stone would probably be a quarter of the size, you know, or maybe a bit smaller. So you know, it's scaled properly. I think I'm not sure what this is if this is like a window or something, but if so, then we need to do some kind of texture here instead of just having it, you know, pure solid. I know this is more geometry related to see if everything fits, but you know, I might as well talk about texturing too. This texture here seems a little bit too big on scale-wise, and this might be a little too small on this side. See? So maybe this might be need to be like double the size, maybe even triple, and this might be needed to be scaled down maybe 2 or 3 times, okay, to balance it out. So yeah, a little too small here, and a little too big here. Okay. So I assume that these aren't textured yet because it's pretty solid color. For the light here, texture, maybe later on put in a little glow in Nuke or Photoshop or whatever software that you're going to use. But this low poly here, we might need to look at that, right? So look at the low poly issue there and figure it out. Is this purpose? You're trying to make a tear in the fabric of space and time or something? I'm not sure. Or, you know, how did that result? So maybe cover that up. Okay. So yeah, I think the biggest problem right now is the scale for this. And then you know, we can address the texturing a bit later. Again, the car I feel is too small compared to the human. Like if you imagine this guy stand up, and if he walks over here, he would probably be about something like this tall, right? So a human should only be about maybe this tall compared to the car instead of, you know, so maybe it's like 50% smaller than it should be. Okay. As far as the car is concerned, I think if we add in like a car material, they have like painted car materials, and it would look a lot better. So there's a lot of car materials out there that has like a double coat in it. I think we can achieve that in Blender with the shaders there, but we can look into that later. Okay. And again, the background here, I'm not sure if you're gonna put something here or if that's your concept of having it pure black. So you might need to look into that. Again, windows here maybe, is it? Okay. Okay, I think that about sums it up here. I don't want to get too verbose. Trying to keep feedback manageable so that you know, it takes you a couple days to fix instead of giving you a feedback where it's overwhelming. All right, I'll see you guys next class. All right, bye bye.